Hello, Andrew here again with MT Binder. And as promised, we're going to be talking about some gear today. I'm not an expert, but I just want to show you what I have used and what I currently use and what I think some of their strong points are. There's a lot of other videos on this, but this is mine. Everything here I've paid for or was a gift. So I will also give you the weights on each of these things. And then if it's a straight knife like these, we'll include the sheath because it wouldn't be safe to carry it without a sheath. But then a folder like this that could be carried without the sheath, then we'll weigh that without the sheath. So let's start with things that I have carried and I don't anymore, generally speaking. And that would be some of these older folders. A buck 110, absolutely nothing wrong with this knife, and it's not even that heavy. The buck 110 is 7.4 ounces, so not too much different than a lot of the other ones. But I find that cleaning the blade after harvest is kind of a pain, and so I don't really carry that anymore. Another one that I don't really carry anymore, and I have not carried this one specifically, but I've carried ones like this. It's just the older old timer folder. These are great knives. My first wet knife was very similar to this, and they weigh just under 4 ounces on average. There's nothing wrong with this, but it is just a little bit more weighty than necessary. Another one that I don't really carry anymore for hunting would be like a multi-tool. This is an older multi-tool, and it's pretty heavy, coming in just under 8 ounces. Also, there's a lot better options now. This is what I have, and I'm generally choosing not to bring it. I don't find that what I'm doing I need pliers for or things like that, and so it doesn't really add value to what I'm carrying. Um, your typical Swiss Army Victorinox. I don't remember which model this is, but it's got a lot of stuff on it. These are great because they've got tweezers, toothpick, scissors, a few other options on them. This isn't something that I carry hunting. I would carry it backpacking, but it's about 3.5 ounces, 3.4 ounces, so not very heavy. But a lot of good blades on this and a lot of good options. What I'm more likely to carry instead of that is actually this super thin Alu series. I don't remember which model, but it only has a couple blades. It does not have toothpick tweezers, and I'll show you here in a second. But these are super light, super slim also. The 3.6 ounces. So if I actually take that one and then my baby Swiss, which this one is just a couple small knives. This actually sits in my first aid kit, adorably tiny, weighs less than an ounce, 0.7 ounces, carried in separate places. So this is another one that I actually I do carry all the time, um, except for the airport. So that's a great knife that I carry with me. Um, Moving more towards hunting specific, of course, the buck is kind of hunting, but more towards hunting specific, the outdoor edge. Um, you're going to weigh this 7 ounces with the sheath, or 3.6 without. This is a replaceable blade knife. I want to show you a couple things about this. This is a different design than some of the other ones where if you can see that, but the blade is also supported by this frame. Pretty easy to remove. Push a little button here, the blade comes out. You do want to be very careful replacing that blade if it's got any fat or hair or things like that on it, as it can get pretty stuck. If you're using this for an overnight where you may be managing multiple animals, bring a toothbrush or something to clean out these grooves that are in there. Otherwise, these blades can get really stuck really fast and become quite a hazard to replace. The other thing is these are extremely sharp, and the edge rolls over quickly. Notice I didn't say the edge dulls quickly. It actually just rolls over. So a lot of guys are running through 4, 5, 6 of these blades on one animal. Another option would be is if you have this and another knife. what I found is I can take this. I'm just using this for display, whatever. But run this for a few minutes, and then you look at it, and you'll see that edge gets rolled over really bad. So you can take it on the back of your, straight blade knife, and just kind of hone that back out, or push that edge back straight again, and then it'll work again wonderfully. So that's a kind of a trick that I learned. These are great. You throw them in the dishwasher when you get home, as long as your wife doesn't yell at you. Um, but I've actually moved on from this as a general rule. I think carrying as a spare, depending on where I'm at, is still a thing. Um, and then again, you can carry a ton of blades in the pouch and sheath, and you would not be wrong to carry a minimum of 4 uh, per animal expected to harvest, or per animal you expect to help, um, you know, take care of. So that's the outdoor edge. This is a 3.5 razor light. It's been a good knife for me. I'm not complaining about it. So the Gerber saw. This is controversial, of course, for breaking through some of the bones. Um, Strongly recommend just watching some videos on how to separate the bones and trim the cartilage. These actually work. These do work good, but there's other ways to do it. Now that said, this here is actually not that heavy anyhow. It's only 2.7 ounces, so it's not a bad thing to bring, but it is something you don't technically need, as long as you've learned how to do it the other ways. So there is that. I'm going to jump over here. This is a buck. Um, this is called a pack light. Um, this is a 636. It's kind of more a filleting knife. This is a little bit softer steel. I think this is the same steel as this, a buck knife here, but very, very thin profile. This would be great for filleting. These are super light. All in, this weighs 3.7 ounces also. Scale's nice handle. Still has some grip here, and so it actually works pretty good. I've been carrying this. I did use it when we were breaking our elk down after we got home, or deboning our elk after we got home, but I didn't use it in the field. But I think this is something that at the weight, nothing wrong with carrying it. You do have to be aware that if that edge starts to roll over, you may have to push it back straight with another hard surface. The sheath is fine. I probably wouldn't be attaching this to anything. It's not super grippy. Another thing that you could do if you're just bringing one knife, but you know that it's prone to the edge rolling over like this, or like the outdoor edges, is just bring a small work sharpener. 1 or 2 passes through this and it's going to be straight again. It's really not a big deal. Um, and these weigh just over an ounce. I've got a couple different types here. This one's got a little deal for sharpening fish. This one has a fish hook sharpener on it. And this one has a deal for a serrated blade also. So that's kind of cool. But either of them, they're both about the same weight, so it's not a big deal. Now for my pride and joy. This is a stone goat, and got this for Christmas this year from my wife, who is amazing, and I appreciate her very much. And she actually loaned it to me at the end of or for hunting season before Christmas. We did harvest 1 buck for a friend, or with a friend, I should say. And this is an amazing knife. It's 4 ounces with the sheath. Obviously, if we were to take the belt clip off, it'd be a little bit lighter. Um, I say that the weight is 4 ounces with the sheath because this is not something that could ever be in your pack without a sheath. So it's a fantastic um, anything blade, in my opinion. It's got a good belly here, and we did that one deer with it, and it's still shaving paper sharp. There's no damage on the edge at all. Um, and then as far as the paracord, I just washed it with a kitchen brush. Sorry, babe. And washed it until the water ran clear, and it doesn't seem to have any problem. So A little bit of paracord on there. I think that before my next trip in the fall, I'm actually going to change the paracord out for survival cord, which we can talk about in another video, but just as an added something. So this is the Montana Knife Company stoned goat, and then its big brother here is the Super Cub. You can see the knife profile similarity, very, very similar. This is substantially heavier with the sheath. This one's 8.5 ounces, so twice as heavy, but it has a much thicker spine. I don't know if you guys can see those from there. Much thicker spine, heavier grip to the handle. I appreciate the guard that they placed here to help keep your fingers out of the blade. And I'm not sure if this is going to be as much of a hunting knife unless I'm really backcountry, and I think we're gonna have to more bushcraft things as much as it is a backpacking knife. And so this is heavy for a backpacking knife, especially when you say that this is 8.5 ounces and this, which really does pretty much everything that I need, is 1.7, 1.6 ounces. So there is some weight to be added with this, but I like big knives. So that's the other thing I'm going to be potentially carrying. You're going to have to see what the use or the utilization actually is on that knife at the moment. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea. What I'm using doesn't mean that's what you have to use, but it is something that you should think about. You should be aware of everything in your kit, in your pack, especially when we're talking about backcountry multi-day adventures. Um, shaving a few ounces on one thing and a few ounces on another thing can really add down. So that's kind of a cool thing. Sorry, my dog's making noise upstairs. But this is what I wanted to show you. Hope you have a wonderful day. And if you have questions, reach out. If there's something that you want to know about specifically, just you put it in the comments, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. God bless.